Hey, good morning. Thanks for tuning into the channel today. One of the things I want to talk about today is something that I sell online, and it's basically a piece of Georgia pine fat wood, what we call it, or lighted wood. It's kind of what people call it. It's basically a piece of pine that's just been sitting, and all the sap and stuff has basically cured the wood inside, which makes it, basically makes it water resistant. And the reason why we sell these, I sell these on a kit with and I'm going to show you why I sell it like this. So I sell it in this kit. It comes with a ferro rod, about 12 foot of juke line, wrapped with about 6 or 7 pieces of that fat wood. Now the reason why I do this is because that way you can just put it in your pack, and it doesn't matter if it gets wet or anything like that. You can start a fire with it. You can also start a fire in the rain, and that's what I got here today, is to show you. I'm going to wet all this wood down, and I got a bucket of water here. I'm going to toss this in the water, and then I'm going to take and rinse that out with a water hose and get all that wood good and wet, and then I'm going to show you how to make a good fire with wet wood, even if this gets wet as well. Because you could have this in your pack, you could fall in the river or something like that, and it gets wet, and you still have some way of making a fire. So what I'm going to do is, give me 1 second, let me get set up here, and I'm going to go ahead and wet this wood down, and I'll go ahead and toss this in and get started. Alright, so as you see, I just took and wet that wood down as just if it's been raining. I got this wood here, I just dunked it in the water. Alright, so this is soaking wet. Now I'm going to show you how to process this and how to make this work. Now I had this jute twine, yeah, great. It does get wet, but the way you process this jute line is it'll dry out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to adjust my camera real quick, and so you can kind of see watch what I'm doing. Okay, so I got this thing adjusted a little bit more, but this jute line, if you take it, all you gotta do is just rub it through your fingers, and it's gonna kind of wring it out. And just take this wood and just kind of lay it to the side here. Now this jute line, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take and cut it up in about 3 pieces. Somebody needs to sharpen a knife. And the reason why I put about 12 foot in here is because also you could use it for a ridge line, or if you got some wet clothes or something like that, you can kind of tie something up to kind of hang them up. Okay, so now that I got this done, now what I can do is I can twist this backwards, and I can separate it, just like you see me doing here. So now I can separate this thing into like these smaller strings. Because what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to process this down, and I'm going to show you why I'm doing this here in a second. Now, one of the things cool about me giving you a 12 foot is you may not need 12 foot, and you can, because really all you need is a little small piece like what I'm doing here. And like I said, if you can see, what I'm doing is I'm twisting it backwards, okay? So that way I can spread it apart, because I'm getting it down, because we're going to break this thing down. You're going to see what's going to happen there. So I got all this broke down now. Now that I have this broke down, even though it got soaking wet when I dumped it in that bucket of water, I can take and process this out. And granted, it's still a little wet in my hand, but the thing is, as I process this down, it's going to start drying this part out. So now I'll just take it and just kind of pull it where it's like a bunch of little hairs, set it to the side, and just keep doing each one of these until they're all done. that. So, just kind of spread it apart. Just keep working it. Now this fat wood here is pretty amazing because that resin that's in this pine, it's the same stuff. They use the same wood to process it down to make turpentine. So it's actually kind of flammable wood, but the way that sap and everything kind of works, it's also like a water repellent as well. So even though this wood is wet, I can still get it to light. And the reason why I use some of these other sticks is because that can give me a coal, which can also heat up this wood here. Now when making a fire and it's wet, the thing you want to look at is your starter wood needs to be what we call smalls, which is anything pencil size or smaller. You want something to make sure it's pencil size or smaller because it'll dry out quicker and it'll get the heat and get the fire going to put the bigger stuff on there. Once you get a good coal bed going, you're fine. As you see, I'm already starting to get this nice little pile going here. So I'm kind of taking this jute twine and I'm making a little bird's nest out of it. And it was pretty wet. I mean, I literally wrung it out with my finger and a good bit come off of it. But it's semi-dry right now, just by me doing this. And see, I can move this around, fluff it up a little bit, and that'll help. And I'm going to show you two ways to do this because let's say something you don't have this. There's also a way you can do it with just this fat wood too. And I'm going to do both ways and kind of show you. And also I kind of like doing them one way and doing them. You can also do the two techniques I'm going to show you. You can also combine the two techniques and it'll even help even better. I personally do both at one time just because it's an added fire starter. Because this jute twine, once it goes up, it's like almost like gasoline in itself. But you want to have something solid there that's going to take hold to maintain that flame, because this stuff just burns up, burns out really quick. Alright, so this one here, and also you can kind of leave some of them a little bit stringy because they'll kind of hold that heat a little bit. So as you see, I done processed those few strings of jute twine into this nice little baby bird's nest here, okay? Now, what we'll do is I'm going to kind of set this over here. Now I got this piece of wood, and as you see, it's pretty wet. All right, so I can take my knife, and then I can scrape it down like this. I'm gonna move this bird nest out of the way. And I can just keep rubbing it and keep rubbing it and keep rubbing it and just file it down with my knife. And see how it's getting these shavings on it? I can take and get those shavings. Now I can take these shavings that I've whittled off here. I got this little pile right here, and then I can place it in the middle of this bird's nest. Now also, because I've shaved this one up, I can take my knife and I can kind of make me what they call a feather stick. It's where I shave up some of the edges up on it. At the same time. Alright, this ought to be good enough. And you can do a couple of these. I just do enough where I can get just a spark, because I'm going to hold this on there. Okay. Now, I'm just going to turn it over here because I'm just going to set this fire going, so I'm just going to get it started for you, okay? Alright, so I got everything kind of set up. Now, you don't want to lay nothing down on something that's wet like this. You want to get either a piece of bark or take some of your larger sticks and kind of stack them up where you have a nice good fire lay, because that way that moisture's not pulling up on anything. Alright, so we're going to set those shavings and that jute line right here. Now I'm going to use the same ferro rod that I get in the kit, so that way you can see how it works. And then I'm also going to take and set these little, the 2 feather sticks that I have here, and then I'm going to take and light it up. All right. So I'm going to set this stuff there. This other one up over here. Finish placing these other sticks, and you can save a couple of these for later if you needed to. You know, so we'll take the stick out across it here, and keep in mind I just took these sticks and I just laid them. I just sprayed them all down with a water hose, and I took that wood and I dipped it in that bucket of water over there too. I'm gonna let this go in, and I'm gonna put this big stuff on it so that way you can see how to get a fire going. Because right now it's starting to heat up these smalls, but these smaller sticks that you put on there, you want to find sticks no bigger than a pencil. This is probably about the biggest you'd want to get. Also, at the same time, look for, if it is wet and it's raining, look for sticks that have fell on deadwood that's fallen and hung up in trees, small stuff, and pull it down. Now, if you grab something and it just snaps like that, that means it's dry on the inside too. So you can find stuff like that that's not so wet. And once you get this good fire going, once I get these other a little bit larger sticks, once I get those and get a bed of coals, I can put bigger stuff on it. You can also lay bigger wood, you know, this size, larger logs around the outside so they can be drying out while you have your smaller fire going. As long as you got flame, you got enough oxygen, so don't ever blow on it until you see flame go away. But this is going to get bigger here in a minute. It just takes a little longer when you got the wood wet because it's going to have to dry it out before it gets going. Now, as you see, I did this and I still have a few pieces left. I put that back in my kit, and that way I could save it for later or another time. And you don't have to use as much as I did. Just basically 2 of these could get you going, especially if it's a drier thing. Now, you saw that jute line, I just cut out a couple small pieces, and you saw how easy it lit up. I've actually made a fire out of a broke Bic lighter just by flicking at it on some of that jute line to get it going. But as you see, I got the fire going. It's going. It's not going anywhere. So if you're looking at this on online, or you're looking at the video before you decide to buy it, I hope this helps. If you got any questions, leave them below, or you could be glad to email us if you'd like. But I hope this helps, and I hope you enjoy our products, and thanks much for watching.